Hello, my name is Logan Hoyer, and I would first of all like to thank you for being here today and listening to me speak about this very important topic. I'll only be taking about 6 to 8 minutes of your time, so with that being said, let's get into it. This campaign plan details qualitative and quantitative data collection methods to gain better understanding of information pertaining to the Lost Vet campaign plan. Through this plan, we aim to find ways to fight against suicide among veterans as well as help raise awareness to the mental health standards in the veteran community. Through carefully planned out interviews and conducted surveys, we are able to collect data that will provide us with knowledge in areas where we are succeeding and as well as areas that we need improvement. The main point of this plan is to detail the means in which we plan to execute the campaign once it is launched, as well as how we will continue to improve. With this, we hope to help veterans connect and not suffer from the isolation that plagues us all. If this plan even helps save the life of one veteran, it will be deemed a success in our eyes. So that brings us to the point. What exactly is our plan? Well, in the aftermath of America's longest war, the greatest struggle and loss of life was not due to any battle or training accident, but instead from our minds. The veterans and service members of the Global War on Terror, or the GWOT, have been riddled by casualties of suicide. 44 veterans a day take their own life, falling victim to their own hand. Whether they saw intense combat, turned wrenches, drove trucks, or even shuffled paperwork, their inevitable end of service date would soon come. Their time in service is over, and they all must return to a civilian role in a world that they no longer know. Veterans are thrusted into a life they often dreamed of while serving, only to arrive in a world that doesn't understand them, with a feeling that is often reciprocated. Isolation from their support group that comprehends all of the hardships they endured is suddenly gone. Loneliness and dark thoughts begin to creep in, often leading to a permanent end for what was supposed to be a long and happy life. This campaign focuses on a way to put together a veteran-led and owned group. This aims at helping recruiting and putting together a link together to follow veterans to combat isolation as well as battle mental health. The goal is to reduce the common theme of veteran suicide that is always lurking in our community and in their minds. Who can we lean on when we get lost before we even know that we are lost? The answer to that is each other. With the qualitative portion of this campaign, the needs of the associated data plan will introduce a group of individuals to be interviewed. A resource that is most readily accessible to me is the Veteran Services Center at Boise State University. It's the perfect pool of qualified individuals ready and willing to participate. To be specific, the audience that will be targeted here is veterans who have served in the GWOT, or Global War on Terror, as previously mentioned. Data could help us understand the real numbers of veterans that succumb to this plague of suicide in their community. Data collected could help us establish a pattern with these types of results specified in the answers. To do that accurately, we will introduce our independent and dependent variables. This will determine whether these data points can be used as either descriptive or inferential statistical analysis upon the execution of the actual interview. If you take a look at the slide in front of you, you will bear witness to our independent and dependent variables. The dependent variables are pretty straightforward and also will be asked in our interviews and be challenged against the independent variable to prove exactly what we were asking. Through interviews, we can gain more detail and compare it to the gaps to be filled in the quantitative data portion that is coming up next. Following the qualitative data, you'll take a look at the screens in front of you and notice that we have placed our interview protocol. Through that, you can look at the primary questions, the interview speaking, and every single question that we are asking each individual veteran, and how we plan to gain our information that will lead us to the findings that we need for our qualitative data. As we end qualitative data, we start to go into the portion of quantitative data for this plan, which we will execute the following tasks. A deeper dive into the sections of my plan and identify the associated data needs, or in a simplified explanation, what exactly could this data do to help? What this plan could benefit from through the use of specific associated data needs is to research the point of isolation that veterans feel after they get out of the service. The data intended to help with this research relies heavily on ordinal measurements in a survey form. Following professional feedback received during the construction of the survey, it was determined that we also would need to incorporate an interval questions as well. Data from this research will further our understandings of the trends after the service and in different groups of people. Younger groups of veterans ages 18 to 34, compared to the trends of older groups of veterans ages 34 to 74, are more at risk than those at the younger ones. Let it be noted, though, that despite the fact that these two separate groups are deemed as so, they all fall into the overall group of the GWOT veterans. Gaps in understanding in veteran suicide that this data could resolve were identified as causes that lead to isolation after separation. What I was looking for, or at least what I hypothesized, was the following. The more veterans who get out of service, having a support system made up of fellow veterans tend to do better mentally than those who go back home and relocate with just their family or just go to a whole new place overall. This data can help identify the trends of the two groups and what they do after service, with the hope of uncovering substantial insight into their future findings. With that, the data collection mechanisms were listed as the following. Data collection will be done through an online survey and distributing website. It is a reliable and reputable site called Quatrolix, and through that, the data collection will be done through a combination of purposive and snowball sampling. The younger inquiries of this survey could be distributed through the college, since the majority of veterans fall into the younger age. For the older group, I would have to go about a different tactic and use purposive sampling. Since the group of the older veterans are harder to come by in a place like college, I would have to rely heavily on the snowball effect by the sharing of this older group to their fellow peers in the same age parameters as listed above. You'll see all of these in effect in the survey listed below. Following the information from the qualitative data, we can take a look at below in the screens in front of you to our survey protocol. This survey will be uploaded to our Qualtrics site for distribution among the masses to gather as much data as we can about this type of information in order to place certain parameters that will help us get answers and fill the gaps of understanding in our data protocol. Please take a second now or at the end of our presentation to review our survey protocol. For our digital analytics plan, we decided to break it down to a PISO diagram, which is paid, earned, owned, and shared media. Through that, we were able to demonstrate how exactly we would go about this plan. Paid media, according to the text, are outputs that are placed in the media to function as advertising. The first use of paid media for my campaign will be towards the design and creation of social media accounts on Instagram and Facebook in order to reach different groups of the veterans. Our social media is all set up, and paid media will take a further step to reach out to similarly structured organizations to promote our campaign as well as theirs. It'll be more of a collaboration type of event. Additionally, we will reach out to local news stations while the collaboration events are taking place. Through this type of media, we will begin to see the creation as well as the spread of our message to our targeted audience to grow our community and to fight veteran suicide and mental health. In the earned media section, the strategies and tactics that we plan to use are as follows. Through events and targeting of specific dates that are relevant to the veteran community, like the Marine Corps birthday on November 10th, we plan to gain attention. The events will do two things. The first thing will be to gather veterans in the area and create a shared connectedness. The second will be to target at some sort of community outreach to benefit and help improve the community, in which case the veterans are now a part of. This will gain attention of others as well as the leadership in the community and eventually the news. With that, we have our PR team to create news releases targeting local news stations. Additionally, we will create content for ourselves of our events and share online with the specific location and tags, as well as things like hashtags in order to boost our earned sharing of our campaigns. In regards to shared media and this section of the analytics, it will help us track how much people use our social media and what is being shared and how often it is being looked at. For the shared media of our PISO diagram, for this plan, our strategy is to first reach out to veterans that the creators of the campaign personally know. Once that is established and the accounts are launched, we will then have them share our message and stories and post to their accounts with a high veteran and active service member traffic. There are many different types of veteran accounts that are online, and they are more than happy to help share and spread the message as long as it can save a brother or sister. As previously mentioned, the owned media will be the main social media accounts, Instagram and Facebook, and the information website as well as the YouTube account associated with our plan that we have created. The use of different social media is in part to utilize the strengths of each type of social media. Instagram is a very visual type of platform and also offers video segments. Despite the fact that they are short videos, they will help populate the other accounts and maximize the information spreading. Facebook will allow us to post longer posts and have event creations, and YouTube will give us the target audience a better idea of what exactly we are trying to accomplish in our events that we put on throughout the veteran community. The goal of the owned media is to provide a base frame to all types of media that will allow us to reach veterans in all kinds of places, as well as appeal to the outlets where subgroups of our targeting audience is most active and effective. This concludes the data plan and analytics that we plan to utilize to ensure the success of this campaign. I apologize for going over a few minutes, but I would like to personally thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy lives to be here and to hear me discuss this extremely important matter. On behalf of all veterans and their families, we take great appreciation for your consideration in raising more awareness to veteran suicide and mental health. If you have any questions regarding the plan that I just briefed you, I am available now for the next 30 minutes and through our email as listed below. Thank you.